Finding Frankie is a Mascot horror game released by Superloo Games in 2024. An absolutely incredible experience that throws us into the shoes of a lucky contestant, chosen to participate in a big scary game show that's essentially just Wipeout but much scarier. Taking place in a once grand trampoline mega mall park, it does something that I feel is actually kind of hard to come across nowadays. It has really fun gameplay, actual parkour mechanics, and engaging characters to boot. This has genuinely become one of my favorite games I've talked about on this channel. Also, there's Frankie. Don't know why the game's called Finding Frankie, he's right there. But join me, why don't ya? As today, we'll be talking about... Sorry, that was the wrong title card.
1, 2...
The game opens with a display of cereal on the shelf of presumably a supermarket. Go figure. However, one of these boxes stand out among the others. Frankie's Fruit Flakes. Now, the premise of Finding Frankie is a fairly unique one for the Mascot horror genre. Frankie's initially started as a cereal company, Frankie's Fruit Flakes, but then eventually the original owners sold the company to some big shot who expanded the franchise exponentially. Movies, merchandise, side characters, the works. However, among these many fantastic additions came one that was like no other. Frankie's Parkour Palace. A place where kids could go to jump around and stuff. It was a giant, almost megaplex-like establishment, claiming to be the world's largest indoor parkour, water, and trampoline park all rolled into one. Which sounds incredible, I would have killed for this as a kid, and also as a 20-year-old man. However, after a mysterious unexplained death occurred on company property, things started to go downhill for the Frankie franchise. In response to this, in true Mascot horror fashion, Frankie's here decided to create a deathly game show that streamed to all the darkest corners of the web. And of course, they used the very same trampoline park for this game show. Well, I mean, obviously, what other choice was there? I mean, most companies would, I don't know, make a Twitter post. 4 contestants compete against one another for the chance to win 5 million big ones. Now, the only way to get invited to this exclusive game show is to buy a box of their infamous cereal and receive a VHS tape in said box, which is exactly the position our main character finds themselves in. After buying, Jesus Christ, 700 boxes, eventually they receive the golden ticket of sorts. I feel like it would be fairly easy to tell which boxes have this big ass tape in it. Don't think you need to buy all the boxes to tell. You just stand in the aisle and shake the boxes. I don't think anyone will mind. Immediately though, I feel this shows that our character isn't just some clueless nobody. I mean, what sane person would buy 700 boxes of cereal? That's not cheap. The game itself starts in a dark room with a giant display in front of us.
You're watching this video. It's your lucky day. 4 lucky people from around the world have been brought here to the world's largest indoor trampoline, water, and parkour park. With over 3 stories of action-packed parkour obstacle courses, this is going to be a game show you won't ever forget.
Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is not an ordinary game show. Some last seconds, some a few minutes, but no one has ever won before. So with that reassuring knowledge, we naively don our Frankie costume and take our position at the starting line. Now see, I was on the edge of my seat. I knew what this game's theming was, so I was ready to book it. A high-stakes race against our fellow contestants. There's Frankie. Found him. He's got our fellow contestant in his mouth. Thankfully, we can sneak around behind him and continue on forth. So already, we're the only contestant left. I mean, maybe that's the hard part. We're safe and sound now. Something I feel sets Finding Frankie apart in the genre, which I've already brought up a few times already, is its gameplay. It is really enjoyable. It primarily leans towards fast-paced parkour action scenes rather than slow walking simulators where, things might happen around you. You can run, jump, and slide your way through to the main lobby, where we are greeted by the mysterious announcer man once again.
Seems the other competitors have mysteriously died. Not sure how that happened, but oh well, you're still here. Frankie doesn't feel like himself today. He normally doesn't go on mass murdering sprees, but don't worry about that, lucky contestant. We can still make this a fun, PG-rated adventure.
The announcer proposes that perhaps Frankie's best friend Henry Hotline might know why Frankie's going on a killing spree, and that we should head on over to his room to investigate. Now, the main mechanic of Finding Frankie revolves around these breakers, as they're on a timer. So a lot of these sections entail finding X amount of breakers and flipping them all within a set period of time to carve a new path forth, / open a door. Usually, I mean, it's all about mental framing. Usually though, throughout these sections, we're required to do a bunch of wacky jumping beforehand, like this for example. Man, that's wacky. We head on into Henry's area. Connections with Henry Hotline. Can I even show this? YouTube, hey, these are piñatas that are hanging from the ceiling with just copious pools of blood. The announcer points out Henry's absence and says we'll just have to find another way out as the doors seem to be mysteriously locked. You know the drill. Jump around a bit, flip some levers, and head on through this vent here. What the fuck was that? We climb a ladder in a scary dimly lit vent area, but halfway up, Frankie suddenly jumps out, ready to attack. Immediately after though, I guess it is time now, as Frankie smashes through the wall, and thus begins our first chase sequence. We get to run, jump, slide, and grind on rails. Feel like I'm trying to escape the city or something. The parkour elements in this game are genuinely so fun, I cannot praise them enough. The fact you can do all these little extra things like jumping on trampolines, sliding under random objects, and whatever the hell this is, it elevates the experience so much more and makes the chase scenes actually feel high stakes, and not just having a character walk after you. If you make a mistake, then it is very likely that you will die. As we're being chased by the ever so lovely Frankie, we also have to flip open more of these levers, like earlier, before jumping across this giant. Okay, so you actually have to slide jump here, which makes a lot of sense, that might be my bad. Following which we need to dodge these falling logs. Seems Frankie isn't the best at it, before being greeted by the announcer once more.
That sure was a close one. I apologize, that was poorly planned on my part, but it was certainly entertaining.
He says that thankfully our misfortune landed us directly in the lap of Deputy Duck. Well, kinda. His room is apparently nearby. In case you hadn't picked up on it yet, even with all the theming, there are 3 major mascots for Frankie's parkour bonanza thing. Deputy Duck, as he was just mentioned, he's just a duck, but they took all his organs out and gave him an iPad. What a miserable existence. We of course have Frankie himself, the Magician Rabbit or the Slasher Rabbit. I am a really big fan of Frankie's design, especially the springy limbs. I really want a little Finding Frankie bobblehead sat on my desk. Next is Henry Hotline, who we will get to meet later, don't you worry, I know you all like phone guys. Thankfully we aren't here for the day shift. I make that joke every second video. So obviously the only logical step is to head to Deputy Duck's parkour course thing. You can tell it's duck themed because these guys will shoot balls at you. And the giant duck head, that'll do it. Something interesting that pops up in Finding Frankie are these little out of bounds sections. You end up here if you suck at parkour and miss a jump. Not me though, I was here by choice. If you touch these out of bounds squares, then a notification will pop up. Frankie's coming! Eek! We have to quickly hide under or behind something and watch as Frankie observes the area, looking for us. Really though, I only ended up in these out of bounds sections 3 times throughout the game, 2 of which were in this room. But I don't know, it's neat. It adds an actual forfeit to messing up these jumps other than just boring old, I fell into the void and died. Also, the death animations in this game, specifically Frankie's, are fucking sick. You see him stomp your shit rather than having him just roar in your face and nothing else. It's like the joy of creation. Can you tell I haven't played many horror games? After completing that specific course, we stumble into Deputy Duck's police station. The door slams shut behind us, and the man of the hour is sat on the table. Like I said earlier, he's just an iPad with a duck head. He's so cute and stupid. He falls flat on his face, so we pick him up and... That felt wholly unnecessary. After brutally beating Deputy Duck to a pulp, he is demoted from a beloved mascot of the world's largest indoor parkour water and trampoline park to a glorified flashlight we can bring out by pressing E. Sorry, man. He is a very essential tool that I will explain shortly, don't you worry. After making our way through some more vents, a very common theme in this game, we find ourselves in front of Henry Hotline's meet and greet.
Keep ringing this phone. I'm sick of it. The ringing, it won't stop.
He complains about ringing phones and it hurts. So of course, like the meddling son of a bitch we are, we decide to make it so much worse. But first, I don't know if you've noticed, but this glow-in-the-dark maze is actually super dark and not that glowy, which is where our new pal Deputy Duck comes in. See, Deputy Duck here has two main functions. He can act as a camera flash, which will briefly illuminate the surrounding area, you know, a shit flashlight, or he can become a radar and scan around for items and allow us to see them briefly through walls. He's so helpful. Honestly, I rarely use the camera flash option because it's very short and kinda hard to use, but the scanner was very helpful. With Deputy Duck's help, we navigate through the glow-in-the-dark maze in order to ring a bunch of phones. Clearly Henry's gone mad, having written the word ring all over the wall. Not surprised, I mean this is almost exactly how I envision a phone-headed guy having a meltdown. Eventually all phones are rung, thus allowing us to escape. I don't know, it's a game show, it doesn't have to make sense. Apparently Henry was active and roaming around the maze. I didn't see him. I was very on edge, but I didn't see him. But suddenly, oh no! A phone sounds from behind us. We quickly hide in the vent, but we aren't alone. No! Deputy Duck!
The world goes by, and by the time it does, you missed it. You didn't see it.
No!
This time it's waiting for me.
Oh yeah, Henry's about to kick some ass. We quickly sprint through the vent tunnel thing, the tube, and do some more sick parkour while we escape the phone. Frankie shows up too, despite it not being his chase sequence. Go away. Just because your name's in the title doesn't mean you have to show up everywhere. This specific chase was fairly difficult, mostly due to this part here, where the environment Henry chases us through is similar to the area from before. Glow in the dark, but also just dark. And our dear best friend isn't here to help us through the pain with his scanning and shit. When you die in Finding Frankie, you get this neat little elimination screen, and it'll be different depending on how you died. There are actually quite a few of them too, and the art is really nice. And the designs in this game, I want to talk about them more. Something about Henry specifically, I can't put my finger on it. The phone gimmick is really interesting. That combined with how smug he looks on the promotional material. I don't know, he looks like he could run a late night talk show or something. He's got a sick ass red suit for God's sake. I know it's kind of refreshing to see a character in these games that are somewhat humanoid. I mean, off the top of my head, the next closest thing would be Bendy, the Ink Demon specifically, and I suppose Ban Ban if you want to count that. Don't think the neighbor is actually Mascot Horror though. Love him to death though. Mwah. Hello Neighbor video coming soon. I'm playing all the Hello Neighbor games. Subscribe for that. But now with Henry's evil phone form, his face is all blacked out with widened pupils and fucked up teeth. It's like he's British. Haha, zing. I'm allowed to say that, by the way. Everyone keeps going, oh dude, you're such an annoying British person. I'm not British. No one can tell accents apart, apparently. After a bit of chasing, we slide under a door, it closes behind us, and Henry is trapped out. Phew! We aren't safe, however, as it's time for Frankie's Crash Course, because of course it is. Frankie's Crash Course is a place where we have to jump over, through, and around things or we'll be grinded up into a very fine powder by these giant saws. After surviving for a minute straight, we get to leap down from where the obstacles were coming from. Could we not have done this sooner? Or we emerge, now inside of the outer doors, which is essentially the back rooms of Frankie's Parkour Palace. Not those back rooms, I mean just like actual back rooms of the building. Like a staff-only section. Although this place isn't that far off the back rooms, it's a fucking maze. There are maps and stuff, but my brain isn't big enough to handle that. Also, there's a giant incinerator with surfing rails. Every time an employee needs to throw something in, do they have to do some Sonic Adventure 2 shit? Here we have to surf around the flaming inferno, not Charlie's, as we need to flip 4 levers in order to proceed. Now, as you can see on each side of the pit, there are 3 giant bay doors that we can access. In each of these spots sits a breaker. However, there are only 3, so where's the 4th? Took me fucking forever to find it, but as it turns out, it's in the center, and you have to press it on your way past as you surf up the bloody thing. You have a split second to do so. It's very possible, but it takes a few tries. Afterwards, it unlocks a brand spanking new section for us to explore, which means more getting lost, but thankfully the sliding mechanic in this game is really fun, so it took basically no time. During our fun exploration though, we stumble across the other one. It's Frankie, original question mark. He's been the guy over the announcer thing the whole time. He's the announcer.
Lucky contestant! What a surprise! Don't worry your mask-covered head. I'm the real Frankie, and totally not a lazily written plot device to add a twist to the story to keep our viewers entertained so we can avoid going bankrupt.
Authorities have discovered 3 dead bodies on the premises of Frankie's Parkour Palace, who seem to be 3 of the 4 unfortunate contestants chosen to participate in the company's last game show before bankruptcy. One contestant seems to still be on the premises and potentially alive.
Well, now that pleasantries have been exchanged, you have a journey to continue. I'll set you on your path. Go towards the last remaining elevators and I'll guide you from there.
Okay, now I'm a little unsure if this is some secret obscure game show if the radio was talking about it, but it could also just be part of the act. They're trying to psych us out. No, I think the police might actually just be investigating the murder death game show. But also, it's not like this is aired on public TV, I imagine. After heading down the hall some more, we run into Henry Hotline. He's up and he's sat in the timeout room. He says that we're the lucky contestant. No one's ever made it this far. They pity us and they're keeping us alive on purpose since we're boosting the ratings and keeping all the viewers at home engaged. This isn't the last game show and they aren't going bankrupt. After we're gone, new cereal boxes with tapes will be sent all around the world, picking out the next lucky contestants. I can't remember if it's been brought up yet, but essentially this is meant to be the game show's final season. As the ratings have been going down a bit, I assume mostly due to people becoming bored with the concept. As Henry said, people usually only last a few seconds, sometimes minutes if they're lucky, which I feel would make for terrible TV, especially if it goes for the same length as those guys at the start lived for. You could binge all 50-something seasons of the show in 10 minutes.
I have something to give you as a token of my appreciation for bringing us into the light again. If not for you, the higher-ups probably would have instructed Frankie to kill me. I'm not sure if he still works or not. Hello?
Hello, no one is available to take your call.
Well, there goes Henry. Oh, Deputy Duck, it's good to have you back. What did they do to you, my boy? He's seen some shit. But I love the voice acting for this game. Genuinely, every voice actor did such a good job here, especially that last Henry scene. Rest in peace. Now, stepping over our predecessors, we find what might be our greatest challenge yet. Frankie's Frosted Peak, which I know sounds very exciting if not slightly sexually charged, but before access is granted, thou must find 2 keys. I have to wonder if these definitely alive and breathing game contestants were planted here. I mean, from what we've heard, we're the only ones to have supposedly made it this far, even if it was planned. So why are we seeing multiple contestants here in front of the final bastion? Well, I think, again, it's either because we're being kept alive because we're boosting the ratings, or because they just want to psych us out and hype it up for the game show. Oh, this part is so hard because look at all the dead people. It's so hard to differentiate what is actual scary psycho monster out to get us versus pre-planned game show bits. There's actually a few secrets found later on that shed some light on one of those theories, but I'll get to that later. Either side of the ominous door, we have some live chat feeds from the viewers at home. Wow, this is almost like that time I streamed on Twitch every so often. This is a plug to follow me on Twitch. Join my Discord while you're at it, 16+ only. Jeez. On the chat feed though, it seems they are very entertained, even betting money on us not getting past the mountain, whatever the hell that means. After clumsily walking down an incomplete stairway because we have the survival instincts of, I don't know, punchline, zing, we end up in the sewers. Locked in sewers. You think I have a team? Well, this is lovely. Very moist. Thankfully though, Deputy Duck's Flash is here to help. I say as if we aren't actively waterboarding him. The other one suddenly leaps out from the water and tells us to be quiet. We hear footsteps above. Frankie is searching. He opens the hatch and bids us farewell. Okay, now I'm even less sure of what's scripted and what's not. Is this once again to build tension for the viewers at home, or is this the other way's one of keeping us alive? Maybe evil Frankie's gone rogue. The other one seems to remain somewhat of a neutral force throughout this game. I mean, there are multiple occasions where we see him watching over us from afar, or times like this actively helping us out. But we'll talk about more of that later. I know every time I say that, it just sounds like an attention hook to keep you from clicking off, but it's actually just because of spoilers and stuff. We're only halfway through. Our new task is to find the first key to unlock Frankie's frozen peak. Another thing finding Frankie does extremely well is making each breaker flipping segment feel somewhat unique. That theme carries over here, where we have to find more breakers, but we are in water. Riveting stuff, I know. But the main big bad here are these giant Frankie hands that drop down from the ceiling and slowly scan the area searching for us. I know his arms are like freakishly long and springy, but I like to imagine he's posed up like this, reaching down looking for us like we're a lost remote. Ah, Frankie, never change. Also, why do they even need elevators here? They clearly have trampolines that defy all laws of physics. Don't think they're meant to do that. For some reason, after exploding these little things, we get the first key needed to unlock Frankie's frosted peak. It's that right there, hanging on a giant cereal box. Go us. In order to obtain the second key, we first must venture over to the water park section, which has been long alluded to. Pretty neat, we get these giant ass fans to surf on. Imagine these would be a health and safety nightmare. Scratch that, there's dead bodies hanging everywhere throughout this place. I don't think they care. For some reason though, there are allegedly 5 breakers in this place, but I could only ever find 4. I don't know if I missed one, but you can get the key for Frankie's frosted peak without flipping them all, and instead doing these things, so maybe it was an optional thing? Well, I guess we'll never know. Unless you play it yourself. Do it. Genuinely though, if you're ever going to play a Mascot horror game, please play this one. It is well worth the money. Even if you yourself have seen someone play it before, the gameplay alone is more than enough to keep it engaging. So I just think it's cool. We get the second key needed to unlock Frankie's frosted peak, and off we go to begin the final act. It's just a giant course headed upwards. Slime will also slowly rise from the ground as we make our way up, encouraging us to get a wriggle on. I like that we actually get to see the manufactured image of thing for children now scary trope, if that makes sense. Obviously this part is exaggerated for the game show, but generally throughout the game a lot of it looks like this. Not very scary because that's the child-friendly part. You can actually tell that this used to be a children's trampoline park and water park, I guess, but that's like one room. Whereas a lot of Mascot horror games I feel have sections that just feel so out of place for the general public to be using. I don't know, that's just my opinion. After our player reaches the tippy top, we stand in a grand corridor, with posters for each season of the game show plastered on both walls, either side. Half of them are blank, which again I think signifies that this is indeed not the intended last season, hence why they're letting us get this far. Hexa Havoc is the name of the final minigame. The game wishes us good luck before asking us to take the plunge. But the other one appears before we fall. He reaches his hand out to us like he wants to help us, but something lunges at him and we fall anyways. I think it was kinda hard to see. We touch down in a sea of rainbow hexagons and evil Frankie lunges towards us. Jesus Christ, he's fucking airborne. Now begins the hardest part of the game by far. We have to survive for 2 minutes in what is essentially Minecraft TNT run. The hexagons will fall out from underneath us if we have stepped on them, causing us to fall down to a deeper layer. There are 4 layers in total, and once you've gone through all of them, you're dead. So you need to manage to stay on each level for roughly 30 seconds each, which is much easier said than done, as Frankie himself will be chasing you down at the same time, while also destroying the ground beneath him. I only ended up winning because the game glitched and for some reason flung me really high up. I think Frankie tried jumping up to get me from a lower level, but jumped into me, but it allowed me to return to the top level, so I'm not complaining. After surviving for 2 minutes, the following cutscene shows Frankie getting blasted with a barrage of noob noobs, those little things from earlier. All of this just for us to fall in with Frankie anyways. Why did it mean death for us to fall in those other times? But now that the time has run out, the same thing happens, but it's good this time. The final scene shows that we somehow survived despite us clearly fucking dying. Don't think he was expecting that. And as a result, we get shown to the VIP room of sorts. We've won the game show, and the $5 million is sat at the end of a long-ass staircase, waiting for us. Frankie says we're the first ones to ever win the game show. Most last a few seconds, some a few minutes, but we're different. Frankie says that if we're being honest, we need each other. He then shames us for being broke or something by saying the place we live in is a dump. I'd argue this is actually quite a nice place minus the floating furniture.
But stars don't just leave after a season, do they?
and that's finding Frankie. This might be my favorite Mascot horror game of all time. The premise is really unique, and for the millionth time, the gameplay is really fun. There's just so much finding Frankie does incredibly well. The map, for example, it feels huge while also being somewhat realistically sized. Unlike some games, and having some places or rooms link back up to each other like the ending of the game, while sure a little crazy and not necessarily realistic, the fact that it at least links back up to a pre-existing area in the game makes it feel a little more coherent, if that makes sense. Or when hallways link back up to one of the first main areas in the game, just it feels like they aren't pulling rooms out of their arse, which I feel has become so common in the space. Now fear not, my Frankie-loving friends, I shall now discuss the secrets that I mentioned earlier. See, inside of Frankie's Frosted Peak, there is actually a secret room. You have to head up this giant staircase, which just seems impractical, and at the top sits the CEO office. Inside we have some bits and bobs, including Frankie, who's standing in the corner watching us ransack his shit. Sorry, dude. But there is also a piece of paper with apartment done sprawled across it. Now, I don't want to get all, law, game theory here, because I'm not good at that. But to me, it feels like they did their background checks on who would become the scripted winning contestant. They needed someone who needed the money so that they could bring them back for the next season. Someone who was desperate enough. I mean, Frankie specifically talks about our apartment during the ending, which, feels like a weird thing to bring up twice if they weren't connected. But hey, lots of people live in apartments. It isn't really damning. However, there is something that kind of flies in the face of that theory. In the other one's office, there is a whiteboard, which shows the status of each of the contestants for this current season. The first two have arrived, but were killed by Frankie, which looks like it paid out to people who placed bets that Frankie specifically would kill them. That's probably how the game show makes a lot of its revenue, people placing bets. However, contestant 3 is still alive. It even specifies to keep contestant 3 alive until Hexa Havoc, which as you probably know is the final minigame, where we face off against evil Frankie. So it's very possible that they kept us alive for ratings and then were planning to kill us off right before we won, which is why evil Frankie was finally let loose. Maybe the plans changed halfway through? Frankie didn't seem too happy about us getting far in Hexa Havoc. But it's hard to tell whether or not this was being played up for the sake of the game show, or if he saw that us already getting this far was providing them with the ratings boost required for yet another season. If it was already working, then why would they need to give away their esteemed cash prize? As far as I know, our player never actually receives the $5 million. Instead, we just get thrown on for another season. Double or nothing. I do think, however, it's important to note that a majority of the characters just lie to our face. We can't be the only ones to have made it this far, because like I mentioned earlier, throughout the final areas of the game, we see bodies and blood littered everywhere. If what they're saying is really true, then we should have stopped seeing bodies past Deputy Duck's section at the latest. Also, the fact that the live chat actively mentions the late game areas that allegedly no one has ever gotten to. Sure, you could argue that they'd advertise these and hype up the final boss areas, but wouldn't that just kind of make for a lame watch for a game show? The bodies and blood could also just be set dressing, them trying to make the atmosphere feel heavier and make the game show look more intense. But I don't know, I don't think our character is lucky or special. I think maybe we were made to feel lucky so that we would come back for season 58. Anyways, speculation aside, if that was wrong, please don't yell at me. Go watch Game Theory or something. Inside the CEO's office from earlier, we find a key, which we can then use on this door near the main starting lobby from the beginning of the game, which leads us up to an elevator. Inside we find the other Frankie, Henry Hotline, as well as other Frankie. Lifeless. But there's some information written behind them. For evil Frankie, it says he's returning for another season. It also says he's being shipped out of California, which is presumably where this game takes place. The other Frankie is apparently not returning and needs to be recasted. Henry Hotline is returning ×2. Whether that means there's going to be 2 of him, or if that's how many appearances he'll have, as he also only had 2 major moments during the course of this season too. Henry's also being shipped off to somewhere. Don't think that says California. So maybe they're planning on opening multiple locations for this game show, who knows? This is such a neat inclusion. Every scary moment wasn't necessarily the result of an evil monster running loose or some haunted suits or I don't know, an experiment gone wrong, whatever the fuck else happens in these games. These are remotely controlled animatronics with hyped up scary moments in order to grab the attention of viewers. And that's really cool. There are certainly a lot of unanswered questions, and I do apologize if I got the lore wrong. I couldn't find that much on it. Hopefully some of these questions will be answered in the sequel, which just got announced. Which, by the way, is how I found this game in the first place. I had somehow never heard of this thing until I saw the trailer for the second game. I thought, this looks awesome, just for a big old 2 to appear at the end of the trailer, which meant there had to be a first game. Overall, Finding Frankie is, in my opinion, one of the greatest Mascot horror games released in recent years, and one of the only ones to not follow down the same path as good old Poppy Playtime. Thank you all for watching and have a lovely day.